What's going on, friends? Zach here, full-time reseller, and once again it's Monday morning. Gonna do another what sold video and share with you everything that is going out from over the weekend. So it's everything I sold online over a Saturday and Sunday period. I don't do any shipping on Sunday, and that allows me to have a lot of things saved up to share with you on Monday. So Monday tends to be the best day to do this video. And so I've had a variety of different things sell this weekend, but a lot of women's jeans, and that's good because I haven't been selling a whole lot of denim lately. Seem to have sloughed off in the last few weeks, but that's just kind of how it is with reselling. Sometimes I'm selling a ton of shoes. Sometimes it's all about the hard goods, and then sometimes maybe it's like pants or just random weird stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit this thing, share with you everything that is going out today. So first item up to bat is a pair of women's silver Suki jeans. These jeans did have a few areas of distress on the back, so I did let them go a little bit cheaper, and a lot of the distress was just from wear and tear, but silver jeans don't do quite as good as they used to for me. Several years back, I was getting closer to low 20s, mid 20s for silver jeans. I have noticed the prices in thrift stores have went up on them, but when I sell them online, especially if they're in not great condition, they just don't sell for what they used to, and that's okay because I only paid $2 for these, and they did sell for $16 plus $8 shipping. Again, with any type of designer jeans with thick stitching or with whiskering to the front below the pockets, those lines, I'm gonna always denote that. I'll put designer jeans, I'll put women's fashion, premium, and so silver is a good seller. I find it very commonly in my area. They are still popular. I just don't know if they're garnishing as much as they used to. But here's another solid selling shoe for me, and these are Hey Dude Eloise boots. These sold for $23.50, plus I got $6.50 shipping. These are women's boots. They're on the smaller size, so I didn't charge quite as much for shipping. And typically with a lot of cheaper low-end shoes, boots, and especially running shoes, I just typically will wrap them in paper and stuff them in a good size poly mailer and ship them off. I suggest you do that with low-end shoes, boots, or anything you can stuff in a poly mailer, even if it means wrapping it up in a little bit of bubble wrap. You don't want to do that with a whole lot of fragile stuff, but I have been exploring with using more poly mailers and less boxes, and that's definitely saving me some money on shipping. So keep a lookout for Hey Dudes. I find them a lot of times at garage sales. Unfortunately, a lot of times when I do find them, they're pretty beat up. I think I only paid $4 for this pair, and so pretty happy with the profit. Glad to see them moving out. So this next pair of pants, I believe is the only pair of men's pants I sold over the weekend, and these are tailor stitch, but they're a little bit odd, and that's probably why they didn't sell very fast. I did pay up for these $10.99 at a thrift store in Durango, Colorado, and I bought them some months back during, I think, the tail end of winter, and I'm a little surprised they didn't sell. It could have been the awkward size. They're a little bit big in the waist, but I think the reason they didn't sell is they have kind of a micro ribbing or like a micro corduroy to them, and so they're more of a winter pant. They're very much a dress pant, and they're just kind of different looking. Tailor Stitch is a Huckberry brand, and if you go on Huckberry, any type of clothing that's listed on Huckberry generally resells very well. So that's just a little tip for you. I love Tailor Stitch though. It always typically moves fast, and this is probably one of the few pieces that hasn't. But again, I think a lot of that's due to size. The season I was trying to sell it in was in the transition from winter into spring, and these are kind of heavy, kind of winterish. So that's probably why. And again, just a little bit funky looking, a little bit different for men's pants. So it definitely had to find the right person. So still happy to see them go. They did go out for, again, $29 and some change plus $10 shipping. So glad to see them move. And I've said this before in past videos, but if you're selling corduroy, you're selling oversized shirts, you're selling a big pair of heavy canvas Carhartt pants, make sure you always add a little more shipping because those materials are a lot heavier. You don't want to be eating those costs all the time. Shipping, as I keep saying, just keeps going up. And so for that reason, that's why I try to simplify my business, and I'm trying to sell much smaller items than when I first broke out a few years ago. I've gotten away from selling big electronics and things like that just because, for one, they're easily scammed on eBay, but they're also expensive to ship, and you also got to worry about them getting there safely. So for that reason, I've just kind of retooled my business, and I'm trying to scale down to much smaller items. So it might be something for you to think about. Now, this is one of my favorite shoe selling brands for women. I probably sell more women's shoes than men's, even though I primarily am a clothing reseller of menswear. These are Birkenstocks Birkie clogs. They're the would-be horse edition, I believe. And so I bought a lot of Birkenstocks just about 3-4 weeks back, and there were several sets of clogs, but a whole lot of different sandals. I paid just under $8 a pair. I did take an offer of $40 on these. I probably could have held out for a couple more bucks or countered, but I was happy with it. The counter offer wouldn't have been that big of a deal. And so all things said, selling for $40 plus shipping is cool. I've made all my money back on buying that lot of Birkenstocks after selling only 2 pair. And so keep your eye out for Birkenstocks, and whether they're in really great condition or really beat up, they typically will still sell. You just gotta know your price points. With Birkenstocks, a lot of times keywords I might use in the description are comfort, casual, house shoes, travel, work, and all of those things again are just going to help to promote the item. I also am good about putting the type of series, and again, these are Birkies, so I want to make sure that's listed in the title. And then just be good about your flaws. These did have a little bit of wear to the toes. They had some marks on them, but they weren't in terrible condition, so I listed them as good. So happy to see them move out the way. Now, this item here is a Fire King Kimberly Diamond mug. This is as plain Jane as it can get. I think I only paid pocket change for this just recently, like a few weeks back. I'm having a hard time remembering if I got this at a thrift store or at a garage sale. But if you can find this type of mug in the two-tone ombre pattern, and you can find it in a set, you can get a lot of money for it. This only sold for $6 plus $9 shipping. And so if you're selling mugs, make sure that if you're doing your shipping separate, you account for enough shipping to get it where it needs to go. Mugs on general can cost me anywhere from $7 to $10 to ship. And so while this didn't sell for that much, the shipping needed to be more to get it there safely so that I didn't have to eat the cost. And all things being said, even though it sold for $6, I only paid pocket change for it. So pretty good profit. I'm happy with that. And I love selling Fire King mugs. It's just one of those things I enjoy selling. I enjoy collecting some of their jadeite cups, mugs, and bowls. And I've done really well selling Fire King, but I don't know if it sells as well as a lot of the Pyrex casserole dishes and bowls. But keep an eye out for those type of things at garage sales, yard sales, and especially estate sales. A lot of those old people who are having estate sales, whether they've passed on or maybe they're still alive, had a lot of Pyrex, they had a lot of Corningware, Corel, and often Fire King. So just keep an eye out for that stuff because it's usually sold for pretty cheap. All right, so I'm having a pickup in my winter jacket and winter clothing sales. And this guy right here is a Carhartt Arctic style, chore style jacket. I think it's a C26, it's a C26 style. Not the most popular style. These were produced in masses. They're not super, super old. So this only sold for $60 plus shipping. In another few months, I probably could have got $70 to $75 for it. But the downfall of this jacket, it does have a lot of color fade. That doesn't devalue it a whole lot, but it did have some outside embroidery and it had a woman's name embroidered into it. And so unfortunately, this is a men's jacket, a men's size. So I had to go ahead and just denote that. When I am good about putting good descriptive things in the description box, I like to put keywords like duck canvas, Detroit, barn coat, chore coat, farm, ranch, oil field, construction, you name it. And as I've said in past videos, use a little bit of imagination. Just look at the item, think about the people who might purchase it, think about the materials, think about what it's used for, and then spit out some words in your description or your title, and that's just going to help you to get more sales. So moving right down along the road here, I sourced this Dixon bamboo shirt. This is a Jameson edition. It's white with the 4-leaf clovers. I sold this for $21 plus shipping. I only paid $4 for it. I typically don't deal in a whole lot of Dixon shirts because I don't think they're as common as the flannels. But if you can get into the flannels, they're money. Just be good about listing what style or what series it is, and that's generally noted on the tag. Dixon's just fashionable, it's hot, it's very popular with the rockabillys and the bikers and sometimes people of that manner. And so I like Dixon, they're quality shirts, good stuff, always sells for me. I wish I could find more of it. Just one of those brands that is not as common, and it might be because people keep it. it's a good brand, so they don't get rid of it. Now, this is one of those items that unfortunately I have pre-wrapped up in a clear sealed bag, and I do that because I'm running out of storage space. So for a lot of my small soft goods, t-shirts, Henley shirts, long sleeves that are more compact, I've been wrapping them up and putting them in one of these, and this has just given me a little bit more space to contend with, because I'm basically storing 800 items in a spare bedroom, and I have every closet in my house packed with jackets and pants. And so for that reason, I'm having to condense more and more. And if you're a reseller, if you've been doing this for a while, you'll totally know what I'm talking about. And if you're just getting into this, always be thinking about your space, be thinking about what you're sourcing. Ask yourself before you make the purchase, do I have room for this? If it's really worth it and it's big, go for it. But those are sometimes the things that we don't think about till after the fact. Nonetheless, I bought a lot of Carhartt short sleeve Henleys and long sleeve shirts for $2 a piece just a little over a month ago at a garage sale here in town. I've been selling all of them for an average of $12 to $16. This one, however, did have some stains. It had some color fade on it. So I did take an offer of $11 plus some shipping. Happy to see it go. Still profit. Carhartt, moneymaker. So winding it down, I had 3 or 4 pairs of women's jeans sell, and they're all my bread and butter brands. These here are some Miss Me teenage or junior size jeans. They're size 24. I still listed them under women's because I felt like they'd get a little more spotlight that way. And they did sell, but I let them go a little bit cheaper. And I typically will list the smaller size jeans like that, especially when it's Miss Me. I don't know why I do that. I just sometimes feel like they sell a little bit better. These also had a little bit of distress on them, so I let them go for $18 plus shipping. Could have probably held out for a few more bucks, especially because they're Miss Me, but being they were a little worn and they were a smaller size, I was good to let them go on an offer for that price. Only gave $2 for these at a garage sale. Again, Miss Me, always money, so keep an eye out for them. Unfortunately, what I find with Miss Me jeans is most people know what they're worth, and often when I do try to source them at garage sales, they're priced beyond what I'd want to pay. They're $15, $20. But if you're very, very cognizant, and if you find the right person, and if you're able to buy a lot of them, do that. It might help to drive the price down. So just another one of my solid sellers, and I say this all the time, I like BKE jeans. These are women's Peyton jeans. These here sold for $15 plus $8 shipping. They had some stretch in the waist, which made them not true to the actual size. And they also had some wear and some distress on the bottom back end of the pant leg, probably fraying just from wearing boots or dragging on the ground. So again, I let them go a little bit cheaper. BKE jeans also are kind of like silver jeans. They don't seem to be selling as good as they were a couple years ago. So I've been trying to let them go for a little bit cheaper. But again, this was just a garage sale find, $3. Happy to see them go. It's still profit, making some space for some jeans that are more valuable. And that's how I look at it. So I do have another pair of women's jeans, and these are not bread and butter. These are a solid seller. And I always say that Carhartt is my business partner with my reselling business, but my second business partner is Ariat. And I sell a ton of Ariat men's Western jeans, boots, shirts, you name it. But I also sell a ton of women's jeans. Not as many women's shirts. I just don't find them as often. But I sell a lot of Ariat fat baby boots. And if they're beat up, they still sell for me. And that's one of the few types of boots I like to source that I know will sell quickly. I've gotten away from buying other types of boots unless they're a really high-end brand because they just take a long time to sell. But these are Ariat real thick stitch jeans. These sold for $31 plus $9 shipping. I did have to pay up $7.99 at my local thrift store, but I will pay up for Ariat jeans, men or women's, doesn't matter. And again, you're gonna use all those good keywords for a Western style jean. You're gonna put cowgirl, horseback riding, barrel racing. You could be as original as you want. Farm, ranch, church, travel, vacation, work, you name it. Just use that imagination. That's all you got to do. So winding it down, my friends, just down to the last 2 items. So this one here is a mistake on my part, probably priced it a little bit low, and I sell a lot of fossil wallets and purses. So I probably should have known a little bit better. This guy had a few micro scuffs and a little bit of staining. I did a little cleaning on it, polished it up, listed it. It ended up selling within a few hours for $16 and some change. Plus $5 shipping. Kind of makes me wish I would have listed it like I usually do most fossil wallets, which is generally in the low to mid 20s. That's okay. paid $1 for it, just bought it, and just sold it within 24 hours. So not gonna complain about that. Very last item for me to share with you. Last weekend, I bought a set of Game Boy DS's. It was a Game Boy 2DS and 3DS, as well as about 13 games plus a Nintendo DS bag. I bought all of it for $20. I believe I've already sold 1 or 2 games, and now this is the third one I want to say. This is Legend of Spyro, and this game sold for $10 plus shipping. But again, I probably only paid just a little over $1 for it when you think about how I bought the lot of games plus the Nintendo DS's and the case. So it's still profit. Happy to see it go. These items are easy to list. This took me less than 5 minutes. So it's really nice to have some hard goods that are simple to list, especially as somebody that's primarily a clothing reseller. Clothing is a lot slower to stage out and harder and slower to list. It's a little more daunting, especially when you're dealing with flaws. So once in a blue moon, it's just nice to have a few items that are simple and easy to scoot in the listing line and be done with in 5 minutes rather than 8, 10, 12, 15 minutes. And so I suggest that. It's also easy to get bored with clothing, and so I always love the summer months because I come into a lot of vintage collectibles, a lot of cool hard goods that are hard to find in the winter months when I'm only thrifting. And so that is it, my friends. 13 different items going out today. As I always say, be on your purpose, be out there looking, and also be studying the game. Doing market research, watching videos like this is what helped me to get more knowledge. So I hope that that helps you. As always, if you like this video, please hit like, make a comment, or please subscribe.